Well, hello and welcome back to another live stream. Cliff Ravenscraft here. It's another time for me to offer you an opportunity for free coaching, a deep, meaningful conversation about anything going on in your world where I could be of support and encouragement. I am hosting these each day, Monday through Friday, for this season of my life. Just wanted to show up and be of support and encouragement to anyone that might cross my path. And so if that happens to be you, by all means, join me, cliffravenscraft.com/join. I have a live Zoom session here. Currently, I'm speaking to those of you watching the replay as nobody has yet tuned in, but that will be changing here shortly. If there is any way that I can be of support and encouragement to you, check out this link right here, cliffravenscraft.com/join, and you will see a schedule of all of my upcoming sessions. If you don't want to take the chance of waiting in line to talk to me, just in the event that there are a number of people who have joined the Zoom call and you're just standing by waiting for an opportunity to chat with me next, you could let me know ahead of time that you're coming and just email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com, or send me a direct message on any of the social platforms that we might be connected on. And we will see if we can't put you in priority spot at the very beginning of one of these live streams. All right. With that being said, I am here to do my thing, and that is to be of service to you. And so, since I don't currently have anybody yet on the Zoom call, I am simply going to sit here in silence until the first person joins. That might be you. So again, just head over to cliffravenscraft.com/join and look forward to talking to you here shortly. All right, looks like John is getting ready to join us here. Hold on one second, John. Make sure that you go ahead and unmute yourself there. I'll get you pulled up here in just a second. There we go. John, how can I be of service to you today?
Well, honestly, I partially stopped by.
Whoa, you had invited me to one of these sessions, I think last week, and I happened to be on my phone and saw your YouTube link come on just a few minutes ago. So I figured I'd check it out and jump on. And seeing that you didn't have anybody here yet, I figured it would be okay for me to step in and say hi. And I don't know that I have a motive beyond that at the moment.
Hey, no worries. Well, I am thrilled that you are here. Real quickly, by the way, I said hello to you, and John was out there on Facebook, and he says, "Nope, I'm not coming on, just saying hi." And then he says, "Oh, my, different John." Well, John, thank you for being out there. And also, Grace says, "Hi, Cliff. I'm on my break, so I can at least listen for 15 minutes." Well, thrilled that you are out there, Grace. Thank you. John, is it John Stoppel, right?
It's John Stolpe.
Stolpe. Okay, Stolpe.
Yeah, that's correct.
Awesome. Cool. Well, John, there's no agenda here. I'm not here selling anything. This is no sales pitch. I am literally just looking to be of support, encouragement to anyone. And if that just means having a conversation, what's going on in your world? What's making your soul sing? What's got you excited to get out of bed every day?
Well, I will tell you, one of the things I'm doing on the side right now, and hopefully doing it more as a permanent full-time thing at some point, is I'm beginning to do business leadership and life coaching on the side.
Nice.
And one of the things that I'm navigating, I actually just had my first paid coaching client recently, and that was thrilling to be able to, first of all, recognize that I could get clients, and two, recognize that I truly had something to offer them and could help them. So that was encouraging for me, for sure. I think one of the things that I've been entering into a little bit is, how do I transition my website over to something that's more of an appropriate landing page for coaching and some of the other things that I will do around that side of things. I should tell you that I have been in the working workforce corporate world. In fact, I'm here in my office right now, for 30 years or so with the same company. And so the transitioning from something like that, uh, where I've been hanging my hat for such a long time, to something uh, very different and more entrepreneurial, more on my own, is, there's a lot of factors involved there for sure. There's the loyalty factor to my current company. Uh, there's also just the fear of, and maybe the paralysis of analysis of, uh, what's going to happen when I jump ship, wanting to make sure that I've got all the parts and pieces in order before I do that, making sure that I'm providing for, my wife. My kids are now out of the house, but, making sure that I'm providing for my family in its current state probably holds me to where I'm at, for the time being. But I've always been encouraged by what you have to share. I've been a long time follower, subscriber, reader and listener and watcher of what you've done over the years.
Nice. Well, would you like to talk about any of those topics? There's the topic of optimizing your website for being known for coaching. There's the idea of the thought of leaving the job, but yet the loyalty of being there for 30 plus years. There's the, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 30 years, and the idea of doing something completely different, more entrepreneurial, seems a little out there, and a little concerned and have some thought about, am I going to be able to set this up in such a way that the income's still going to come in to provide for my family? Those are all very interesting lines of conversation. I'd be delighted to talk to you about any of those if you're interested, but then again, we don't have to. So the invitation is
Yeah,
here.
I'd love to get your take and maybe some suggestions on, the website optimization.
Can I pause you right there?
Yeah,
You don't need it.
okay.
You don't need it. You don't need the
All
website.
right. I'd love to hear why you say that. That would be great. I'd love your wisdom. So,
Yeah. So you could have a website. It's certainly not going to harm you in any way.
mm,
But what I heard from you is, I have 30 years of corporate experience.
hmm
And after 30 years of corporate experience, you have so much life experience. You've got so much wisdom to share, that you already, without a website saying that you have coaching services available, you already have your first paid coaching client who easily saw the value that you have to offer well before you did.
yeah, no, I would agree, and I appreciate that. I think sometimes I appreciate your insight, because I think sometimes it's easy to allow the quote unquote mechanics of, website, social media presence, whatever it may be, to hold us back from moving forward and taking steps forward on things. I recently had an experience where I put aside some of my pursuit of perfectionism, and went after doing something, and figuring out that progress over perfection was the way to go. I recently, well, actually, it's been back in April, I started a podcast, and I had been I had been told many times that I should do that, but I always resisted because I didn't know all the details about how to do it. I didn't, I wasn't going to produce the fanciest thing or whatever. And finally, I just said, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And that's been one area where I see that I don't have to have everything in place. I don't have to have all the right, latest equipment to be able to put something out there that will be valuable for me and for those who listen to what I'm doing. So I think your advice on the website is good. I I think there's just that side of me too that wants to be able to point people to some place that validates what I'm bringing to the table. Um,
So,
and maybe that's not necessary.
oh, necessary? Yes, it's not necessary. Could it be valuable to have? Sure. Again, this is not an argument for me to say, John, you don't, whatever you do, don't waste any time on creating a website. That's not what I'm saying. But when we talk about, Cliff, can you give me some ideas to optimize the website? Yeah, it's get a domain, throw a page up, and explain and validate the value that you have to offer to the world. That's your optimization. There you go. How many people are actually going to hire you because they went to that website? Fairly likely it's going to be minimal. So,
Hmm.
have you ever read the book The Prosperous Coach by Rich Litvin and Steve Chandler?
I don't know if I read the actual copy, but I know I listened to it, and that was based on your recommendation from several, at least a handful of years ago.
Yep. So one of the things that I can tell you is that I have a website. So you can go to cliffravenscraft.com and you could browse it. By the way, when was the last time you browsed my website?
It's been a long time, Cliff.
Uh-huh. Exactly. And do you see how you and I are sitting here having a conversation that is deep and meaningful and has everything to do with a big, massive transition in your life?
Yeah, it's just cool. I
Uh,
appreciate you offering this kind of opportunity, and I didn't know about it from a website.
that's exactly my point. You
Hmm.
don't need a website. Here's what I can tell you, just in the fact that we're engaging now. You've listened to me in a podcast before. You've heard who I am. You've already acknowledged that it's like, wow, I've followed your journey. I've been witnessing these things. And just how integral, how important, how essential, how necessary was my website in developing the rapport that I have with you.
The website was next to zero. The way I've gotten to know you is through your podcasting and a few of the other things that you've done. I've explored some of the other avenues you've explored with you kind of peripherally.
Yeah. And so and by the way, you've already done one thing. It's like I followed the nudge. I finally went ahead and created that audio podcast. And you're already going through and following content that you like, and you're connecting with other people. You're already telling other people about what you're doing, not just to me, but you've already got a paid client. So what I would encourage you to know is that you are already doing everything you need to do to grow a thriving coaching business. And so far, you've been taking these initial steps and you've already successfully landed your first paid client with no such website.
True.
And also, for me personally, I would say out of the last 50 clients that have hired me for coaching, maybe 3 of them have actually seen my website. So, for example, if you'll recall in the prosperous coach method for creating clients, Rich and Steve proposed that to have a profitable coaching business, you don't have to have a social media presence even. You don't even have to have a website. You don't have to have a mailing list. You don't have to have a podcast. All of these things you can have. And they will be beneficial, but they are not going to generate clients for you.
Mm.
What will generate clients for you is having conversations with human beings who might just possibly benefit from the type of coaching that you have to offer. And instead of inviting those people to go to a website, you could invite them into a conversation. What's going to be
Yeah, I mean,
more?
that's pretty much the story of my first client.
Yeah. That's it. So the Prosperous Coach method for creating clients is a 4-step process. Step number 1, connect with people, have conversations. And when you're in those conversations with all the various different people that cross your path, and you may even intentionally go to places where your desired type of client is likely to be. So, for example, I will oftentimes go to conferences where people who typically are the demographic or psychographic of my ideal client, they go to these conferences. And so I go to those conferences and I intentionally walk the hallways and invite people into conversation. And sometimes those conversations are 3 to 5 minutes, and sometimes they're 35 to 45 minutes, and sometimes they're an hour and a half to 2 hours in length. But what I will tell you is that step 1 is just connecting, find out who these people are. Is there anything going on in this person's life that indicates that they're the type of client that I feel called to serve with my coaching? In the event that out of all of these conversations, all of this connecting, you feel like, you know what? This person has just revealed something to me. Think that I know for a fact my coaching could benefit them. So you move to step 2, invite them to a complimentary experience of your coaching. Now, the book, Rich talked about the fact I don't do anything less than 2 hours. I know Rich personally these days, and I can tell you that since writing that book, he will tell you that he has plenty of sessions with people that are less than 2 hours. In fact, one of the things he's been doing over the last several years are 20-minute connect calls. So he'll have a conversation with somebody, and then he'll invite them into a 20-minute session just to connect further, to see if there's even more resonance there. And if there is, then he may invite them into a deeper session, but not always a required 90 or 2 hours. Personally, I invite people to some connect calls here and there, but I also invite people into a full-blown 90-minute one-on-one session with me. But then by the time we get them there, now we're in step 3, which is creating a client. And in step 3, we're not convincing somebody of the value of our coaching. We're not validating to them in some sort of marketing message of who we are and what value we can have. We're giving them a full-blown felt experience of what we bring to the table and how we can help transform their experience of life and or business. And so what I'm doing in this 90-minute session is, how can I serve you? What's going on in your world? What's the most important thing for us to accomplish during our call today? And at the end of that 90-minute session, I will then know whether or not this is somebody that still could be a potential client. And if so, I could invite them back after getting clarity on what a few of their insights are, and after getting clarity about what actions they know they need to take over the next 2 weeks. I could invite them back to a second complimentary session of any length. Mine are typically 90 minutes, and invite them to share with me their progress. Let's see if you actually got some momentum building as a result of the conversation we had 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks later, they come back. We're still in stage 3 of client creation, which is create the client. At the end of that session, and only if the resonance is there, you still feel like this person could absolutely benefit from your coaching offering, it's only then that you decide, am I going to move to step 4, which is propose? And in step 4, it's simply like this. Hey, John, I just want to say that it's been a privilege working with you today and in our session 2 weeks ago. I want to remind you, both of these sessions have been my gift to you. Complimentary, no strings attached, and there's no expectation you'd ever pay me a single penny for any of my coaching. However, with that being said, I would like to ask you one question. It's a yes or no question. And I want to let you know right now, if you say no right now, it's totally fine with me. I see the momentum that's already being built towards what it is that you said is your objective in your business or in your career or in your personal life. And I would love to continue that momentum. I have a coaching offering. Would you like to have a conversation right now about what it would look like for you and I to have an ongoing paid coaching relationship? But before you answer anything, it's a yes or no about having the conversation. And you have my permission right now to just say, no, no thanks, Cliff. So far, I've said that to, let me see how many people I've proposed to. I've got it listed here. I have said that statement to 183 people, actually 185 people. And the reason why I said I had to change it there is because out of 185 people, 2 people said, no, I'm not interested in having a conversation about a paid relationship with you. And that was fine. Hey, thank you for absolutely no worries. It's been will you do me a favor and just email me in a couple weeks and let me know the results of the actions that you said you're going to take today? I'd just love to celebrate that with you. And thank you for the opportunity. By the way, both of those individuals referred other people to me.
That's
Now,
cool.
out of the other 183 people said, yes, Cliff, I'd like to have the conversation. What would it look like? I proposed to those 183 people a total of $1.938 million, $1,938. 92 of them said yes, 91 of them said no. The 92 who said yes paid me $908,000. It's all about having conversations. And no website was involved in any of that.
It's so encouraging. It's like I said before, it's kind of easy to get hung up on wanting to have all the logistics. I'm an engineer by background, so that's probably part of why my brain thinks that way. I think in terms of numbers, I think in terms of process stuff, all of that. Uh, but it's such an encouragement because I'm a connector as well. And so, yes, there are engineers out there who can be connectors and want to connect with people and have deep, meaningful conversations with them and be able to help them succeed and navigate different things in their life. So it's just encouraging because I think that in many respects, I've been doing that for years. And more recently, as I've been mulling through this coaching thought process, I've certainly been doing it. And that's how I landed my first client. It was having a conversation. I did have a business card that I created, which, just provided a point of contact. Hey, if you want to talk more, here's my number. Here's how you can connect with me. And then I got a call out of the blue. I really wasn't even expecting it. And it was because I took time to connect with somebody who I didn't know before that initial conversation. And I told them basically what I was doing on the side as far as coaching and whatnot. But he reached out to me and he said, John, I'd like you to be my coach. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about what that means. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you a coaching session for free, more or less a discovery call. Let's schedule a time where we can talk for an hour together and go through it. And yeah, one thing led to the other. So I've done this process. Now it's a matter of,
Yep.
continuing to repeat it and just continuing to connect with people in meaningful ways. I mean, I've connected with so many people. I think part of it is making sure that people understand that I'm also there for coaching. And, people know me as this corporate guy, but wanting to make sure that they understand that I'm also doing this other thing. And eventually this is what I'll be hopefully doing, more as my vocation at some point.
Yeah. And when it comes to speaking into, I want people to know what it is that I'm doing, that naturally can flow in conversation. You could be in a typical corporate setting where people are under the impression that you're a 30-year veteran in the corporate world and you're all corporate all the time, and you're, and you got a couple of hobbies maybe on the side, and they meet you, let's just say, at an industry event related to the corporation that you're in. Yet that still wouldn't keep you from having meaningful dialogue and conversation. And then out of the blue, the person just shares some passing statement that is a clear invitation that the Spirit of God within them caused them to say this phrase that the Spirit and God within you immediately picked up on. It's like, oh, I heard that. And then you are then prompted and led to ask a clarifying question. Next thing you know, this person still thinks you're all corporate and that's all you are. But now you're having a deep, meaningful conversation. And then at any point where it just feels natural, you could say, you know what, John? This is something most people don't yet know about me because I'm very loyal to my company. I've been working with them for 30 years, not looking to leave my day job anytime soon. But here's what I want you to know. At my heart, at a soul level, the work that I feel most passionate about doing in this world is one-on-one coaching. In fact, I only do it by invitation only. I don't even have a website that promotes my coaching. I do happen to have a business card, but I only give it to people who I meet like you, where just out of the blue, a conversation like this appears. And I want you to know, I feel prompted from within to invite you to a complimentary, full-blown experience of my coaching. This is what it would look like. We'd jump on a Zoom call for 90 minutes or whatever. And there's no strings attached. There's no expectation, no obligation. You'd ever hire me as a coach. But what you've brought up here, and I know we're getting ready to go to our next session, or I know we're getting ready to break for lunch, I would love to go deeper into this. I truly believe that there's some things that I could do to bring a lot of value to you. Here's my card. Would you be interested in having a full-blown coaching experience with me?
Cool. Well, thanks. This is more than I expected to get out of our conversation when I dialed in today. I just, I really appreciate your invitation last week. And again, I have followed you for a long time. This is helpful. I think I'm going to go back and revisit the Prosperous Coach. But I mean, I wrote down, these 4 steps, and I'm going to continue to pursue particularly step 1 right now as I continue to connect with people. And then, make sure that I'm finding ways to be invitational into that next step.
I love it. Well, John, I am thrilled that you crossed my path today. I'm thrilled that you accepted the invitation, and I thank you for the dialogue. This makes my soul sing. It's why I'm here. It's what I do in this world, and it's a privilege. And I'm thrilled that we had this chance to finally connect. Your name, that's the one reason I didn't know how to say your name is, like, I've seen your name, I've just never heard it yet. And so, but man, is it great to connect with you, and reach out to me anytime. So if you'll go through that book, if anything stands out to you, know this: I've devoted countless hours to the mastering of the skills that are talked about in that book, and so I'd be delighted to share with you anytime.
Super.
All right, John,
Cliff,
have a
keep
good one.
doing what you're doing. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
I appreciate it. All right, have a good one.
You too.
All right. Next up, I am super excited to see Ernie Lansford here. Ernie, my goodness, my friend, make sure you unmute yourself. How can I be of service to you today? He's working on it, getting himself
You know,
unmuted.
60 years in audio, and even the guy that's been doing it for 60 years forgets to unmute his microphone.
Ernie, it was great exchanging with you. Was that on LinkedIn we were exchanging last week?
Yes, I shared with you my most recent book, Tolerated to Celebrated: Confessions of a Transaction Chaser, and you were very complimentary and your nice words about it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's always been an honor. I just want to share real quickly for anybody who's either watching the live stream, listening to the replay, and I have no idea if this will make it into a podcast episode, but I just want to say how much I appreciate you. For those who don't know, Ernie and I go way back to my podcast Answer Man days. Somehow he became aware of the fact that I marketed and sold a lot of Mackie mixers. And he was a part of the sales division leadership for Mackie mixers.
Yeah, I was director of North America sales.
Exactly. And I'll never forget you reaching out, and you sent me a bunch of free gear in the mail. And yeah, it's been a great relationship since then. And of course, we also, I think, had a mutual connection through Dan Miller as well, I believe.
Yes, I was a member of his podcast group, and I also, not his podcast group, his mastermind.
Yep.
And I was a big fan of his podcast. I picked up with Dan back before he had a podcast, and he was on that radio station in Nashville that Ramsey started on. And then we met at one of his coaching events. I forget, it was a 2 or 3 day event, and you were there, and Ray Edwards was there, and Mike Kim was there, and I think Michael Hyatt popped in for a few moments, and then Aaron Walker was there. So, you know, it's interesting. I'm not here to ask you a question so much as I'm here to encourage you and to thank you for what you're doing. I've watched you grow all of these years. You know, I'm old enough to be your father. So, I mean, the fact that I learned yesterday that you and Stephanie were married on the same day in the same year that my daughter and son-in-law were married, that's really a neat connection. And my daughter and son-in-law are the parents of my 5 grandchildren, and they are the parents of 2 of my great-grandchildren. And someone made the comment the other day, said, "Ernie, you're really getting old." I said, "No, I'm not growing old. I am older, but I'm growing." And I think that's key, that we have to look at that. And I encourage you, and I saw that you're having a Pay What You Want event in September on your Free the Dream. And that's just adding significance to others. It really is. It's something that I changed many years ago, and I stopped chasing transactions, and I started building deep, meaningful relationships. And when I did that, over time, the transactions came to me. And I wish I could have sold that to John, just watching that interview with John a few moments ago. And you were solidifying that really is build relationships, deep, meaningful relationships, and the transactions will come. Now, there's a sales guy in me that says you know, they're the old saying, you got to close the sale. I've never, ever closed a sale. I've engaged. I've invited people to engage, because we can build relationships, but there's a scripture also that says a worker is worth his wages, in that we should be compensated if it is adding value and significance to that individual that's receiving it. Rabbi Daniel Lapin calls them certificates of appreciation, you know. So I just wanted to encourage you. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for the relationship over the years. We've kind of come and gone and followed each other through LinkedIn or whatever. But I just encourage you to continue doing it, and you will build a phenomenal legacy by doing that.
Well, thank you so much, Ernie. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I definitely already feel the tide of that legacy, just as I witnessed the ripple effects as I am contacting people today doing these live streams. I think this is my 25th day of doing the live streams in this particular format. And over the last several weeks, the number of people who tuned into their social media feed to start scrolling, saw I was live and came on and said, Cliff, I have been following you for 13, 15, 17 years. And these are people that we've never interacted before. We've never had engagement and conversation, but just to hear their stories and the number of people's lives that have been impacted, that's never lost on me. So
That's good.
It's
That's
good
good
stuff. But I appreciate that.
You know, John Maxwell says success is what we do for ourselves. Adding significance to others adding significance is what we do for others.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that.
Let me rephrase that. Success is what we do for ourselves. Adding significance is what we do for others.
That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah. I give John, I'm a certified John Maxwell coach. That means I paid him a lot of money. But anyway, I can use his quotes.
There you go. I like that.
All right. Well, that's it. I just wanted to say thank you, and I encourage you to continue doing what you're doing. And if I can ever add value and significance to you, you know how to connect with me.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing to add, I don't necessarily feel like I have any situation with significance, but as far as value added to me is anybody you know that could benefit from a guy who coaches the way that I coach, just introduce them to me. That'd be huge. I just love the people that I can support and encourage and help them transform the perceptions of what's possible for their next steps.
Okay. I'm the same way. I do one-on-one coaching as well. And it just recently launched the Marketplace Proverbs and Coffee with Ernie podcast. So
there you go. Well, how did people find that?
Well, I launched it August 1. And you know, it's interesting when John was talking about he lets that what I call the spirit of perfectionism get in the way. You know, the spirit of perfectionism has a child, and it's called the spirit of procrastination.
Yeah, I think they're closely related.
Yeah, they are. That one, the perfectionism is the mama of procrastination.
I like it.
So I planned it for years and never launched. And finally, I read an article by Scott Savage, a pastor out of Oregon, and he introduced the MVP, minimal viable product. And just do it. I think Seth Godin did that too. Just ship it, you know, and it'll improve. And so far, that's what's happened. So
well,
I've read the chapter of Proverbs that matches the day of the month for many years. And as a result of that, I've found that scripture will come from that will help me resolve a problem or help me through a challenge. And so I ended up writing 3 books about it and then launched a podcast. So I launched it August 1 to answer your question on Substack. Okay. And I really haven't promoted it, but I've got 50 subscribers. So just growing from there.
What's the Substack address in case anybody listening to the replay or watching live is interested?
Oh, well, thank you for that. It's Marketplace Proverbs, all one word, .substack.com.
Nice. You know, I've recently heard some people talking about the fact that Substack is now hosting audio files and you can have an RSS feed that I guess assume you can submit to the podcast directories.
Yep, you upload it and it automatically, when you set up your account, which is free, you can choose, and it'll be the RSS feed, and it'll feed it to Apple, it'll feed it to iHeart, and it will feed it to Spotify.
Interesting. And all that.
Now you have to go out to those accounts separately and set up an account, and they'll give you a link that you put in your Substack.
So just to be clear, though, you're saying that one could actually host a podcast on Substack for free. That does not
Mhm.
require any paid account.
Nope.
That's
No,
interesting.
it's free. And then you also have the opportunity, a toggle, if you will, to ask people to, if you wanted to, have a paying podcast or subscription. Mine's all free.
Yeah.
I'm not in a position I don't feel I should charge. But you can determine if you want to set up a monthly fee or an annual fee or even a founding member pledge. But that's all optional. You can turn that off.
Yep. Very cool. Well, I'm glad to know. I just recently heard Father Roderick talking about that in one of his podcasts recently. He was talking about the fact that he's using Substack to do a lot of his writing, but he's noticed that he could also host his podcast there, and that was the first I'd heard of that, and now you're the second. So maybe
Well, there
something
are a
I will
lot of
look into.
people, there are a lot of faith-based people on Substack. I don't know if it was intended for that. That's what's happened.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Ernie,
All
I don't want
right.
to keep you, but I just want to say thank you for stopping by. It's an honor, and thank you so much
Well, thank you
for
for the
your
invitation.
encouraging words. I receive them, my friend, and I will continue to keep doing these things because I still have air in my lungs, and as long as I have that, I will continue to do the things I feel God's called me to do in this world.
Yep. As long as we're still breathing, He's still got a purpose for us.
All righty, my friend. Thank you, Ernie.
Be good. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. All right, my friends. Now, if you want to know what's next in this live stream, it's a conversation with you. This is not a prepared ahead of time live stream. It is all impromptu. There is no agenda here. I don't have any slides or presentation. There's no call to action to anything. I'm not here to sell you anything. All I'm here to do is to show up for 90 minutes today and every day, Monday through Friday, as long as I'm in town for this season of my life, to be of support and encouragement to anyone who crosses my path. Now, if you are out there and you're watching this and you would like to engage with me, feel free to do so. All you need to do is go to cliffravenscraft.com/join, and there's a button right there to bring you right into the Zoom call. Now, I do want to say if you are out there on YouTube or Facebook, you can leave a comment. I will see it. I will put it on the screen and respond to it. I won't answer long or questions with long monologue format content. And the reason why is because this is not for me to monologue. This is me to have dialogue with individuals who join me on Zoom. But if you want to just say hello or whatever on YouTube or Facebook, I will see that here. And let's see here on LinkedIn, I will not see your comments. So if you are on LinkedIn, just know that I'm going there right now to see if you have posted anything. And it takes me a bit to navigate through all of this to the live post. And then you're going to probably hear my voice twice because it's going to instantly take me into an unmuted stream. There it is. Oh, never mind. I had already turned the volume down. So yeah, there's nobody has left a comment there. Although I do see I have 2 messages in my direct messages. Let's see. LinkedIn says, as a valued LinkedIn member, we'd like to offer you a special something something. And I'm not interested in that. And then I got a message from John, who I spoke to earlier. Awesome. All right. With that, I've got 46 more minutes, but I'm going to sit here in silence as I wait for the next person to join me. cliffravenscraft.com/join. All right, Jordan Powers is getting ready to join us here. Jordan, long time no see, my friend. You are muted. How are you, and how can I be of service to you today?
Good, yeah, long time no see.
It's been since the Clubhouse days.
The clubhouse days, yeah. Um, yeah, I told you briefly in that message, I'm in the middle of launching an event. This will be the second one. And as I briefly mentioned, it was largely inspired by your Free the Dream. I didn't go to that, but I think when around the time you were putting on the first one, it got my gears turning quite a bit, even to the point where I went to the factory. I reached out to the team that you worked with.
Matt and Lauren Brady.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't end up doing it at the factory, but I did end up doing it in Nashville. Um, and yeah, I mean, I wasn't speaking, but I was organizing it, and the event itself and all this context will be important in a minute. But the event itself, I'm not sure if you remember, I'm an architectural photographer, and I'm putting on an event for up to 150 people to travel and come for 2 days, actually a whole week. There's workshops and everything. And you've been through several event launches, including workshops and everything. So I think you can maybe relate a little bit to, it's probably changed now, but first time event, second time event, a little the emotions and everything that stir inside, the unknowns and the uncertainty and the doubting yourself and all the things that come with that. Those I'm in the thick of that right now. I just pressed play on the launch on Sunday. So and like I said, I'm in the thick of this right now. And the first year I did it in 2023, it was wildly successful. Literally, the only constructive feedback I got was um, it very insignificant. Like I would have preferred this type of food versus that type of food.
Mm-hmm.
So that said, I have there's a huge part of me that has all the confidence in the world that it's going to work out regardless. Like whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. And I can sit with that and be comfortable with that. And I can take peace in that. On the other hand, because I'm in the thick of it right now, a lot of uncertainty. So I've got uncertainty on one shoulder and peace on the other. And I'm trying to like reconcile the two and just get past it. And I should add, I'm trying to really control my stress levels and everything this year because the first year, the amount of stress I like build up inside of me actually landed me in the hospital the night before the event. And I dealt with health issues for, I'd say I didn't fully recover to the point where I would consider myself recovered for almost a year afterward. And I'm trying to prevent that now. So I've been managing it with various means. So
What
that's
are the means that
that's
you've
it in a
been managing
nutshell.
it with?
I'm sorry.
What are the means that you've been using to manage it?
Well, I started going to the gym consistently back in January, and that finally, after a few months of doing that, got me out of the health concern hump
Okay.
that I was dealing with. So that really helped. Now I'm in the stress management thing. So meditation, prayer, continued exercise. And so far I'm doing a lot better than I was last year with stress. I'm able to be more present and put things into perspective, and I'm able to remind myself easier that regardless of anything, it's going to work out the way it's supposed to. I'm not concerned with that. Um, so yeah, I think a lot of the things that I keep on experiencing are the doubt, like the self-doubt and there's other things that are contributing to this as well, but like namely I think it's the doubt and like I'm noticing some mistakes I made, quote unquote, things I could have done more efficiently, and things like that. So there's just a lot of doubt creeping in right now.
So a couple of things come to my mind here. The first thing is why is the focus on managing stress versus eliminating stress?
It's a good question. I think in my mind, managing, if I can get it under control to where I can like predict when it's coming on and control that for the time being, it'll lead to elimination. Like I'll have a grip on it to where I'll be able to eliminate it. But maybe you asking that question prompted, okay, well, why not just eliminate it and be done with it?
What comes up for you when you think about that? First, what are your thoughts about the possibility of, instead of managing stress, eliminating it?
The possibility is intriguing. The practicality is the big question mark.
Well, let's set the practicality aside.
Sure.
Possibility. On a scale of 1 to 10 in your own mind right now, from what your perceived awareness of this situation is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how possible does it seem that you could eliminate stress instead of managing it?
How possible? Where I currently sit, possibility 50-50.
50-50. Okay. So you mentioned that one of the things that you do to manage stress up to this point, you mentioned meditation and prayer, yes?
Yeah.
So is it safe to say that you're a man of faith?
Yes.
All right. And from our prior conversations, is it safe for me to recall that you are coming from the Christian faith?
Yes.
Is it
But
safe?
hey, prior to that, I was very much a new ager, so I can speak that language if needed and translate it in my head.
More
Or
than
new thought, whatever we want to call it. So you can feel free to speak whatever language resonates with you.
it doesn't matter what resonates with me. My question is where I want to go to make sure that I can speak to you from this level.
Yeah.
Where do you sit today? Do you sit as one who confesses Christ as your Savior and teacher and your guide in this life?
Yes.
Okay. And again, not putting words in your mouth. I just want to see.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
My
That's
recollection is that, yes, you and we've had lots of conversations about some of the stuff that I was evaluating in 2020 and 2021 and all sorts of fun things.
Yeah.
So I remember that, but I also recall that it's like, Cliff, I lean on I follow Christ and Christ's teaching. So here's what I'd love to evaluate with you. If right now where you're sitting in your perception of what's possible in the area of stress, it's 50-50 that I could actually eliminate stress versus managing it. However, from the teachings of Jesus, when he says, be anxious about nothing, don't worry about what you will eat, what you will drink, who will come to your event, how you're going to pay the bills. Don't worry about your health diagnosis. Don't be anxious about nothing. Would he suggest that route for you if it were only 50% possible?
No.
Okay. So if not only the direct teachings of Jesus, I would imagine from your perspective, you also have a great deal of respect for other aspects of the scriptures, yes?
Yes.
So be joyful always, and again I say rejoice. In all circumstances, give thanks. Whatever is good, whatever is holy, whatever is praiseworthy, what is noble, whatever is pure, think only, although it doesn't say only, but it says think on these things. You almost got a Cliff paraphrase there. Sounds to me like there's not a whole lot of instruction on managing stress.
Right. Yeah, very good point. I think for me, what comes up as you're talking about those things and what was the pushback, the resistance I had in my mind was that how do I work? I won't put a filter on what I'm thinking, just I'll put it out there straight. So those are not commandments. Those are like, hey, you should live this way. Easier said than done kind of situation. But also I'll say when I do remember that and I do go back and read it as I'm reading, I'm able to come to peace. The stress does go away. So that's what I was saying. Like but I label that as management. So in those moments when I had those reminders, or I talk to a fellow believer, or I'm reading, the stress does go away in that moment. It's as as that passes and I move on to the next thing is when it starts to creep back. And then I don't think to even go back and remind myself or anything until whenever it comes up.
So let me just check in with you. On a
Yeah.
scale of 1 to 10, where do you sit right now in this very moment on the idea that elimination of peace is possible? Has it shifted at all?
It has shifted. I'd say I'm probably 7 out of 10 right now. Like I know it's possible. And as I'm talking, I'm predicting what you might say and what suggestions you might make. And I'm also thinking of my own. It's like, well, there's plenty of ways to remind myself throughout the day and check in throughout the day with this topic.
Tell me more.
I'm choosing not to. I could set notifications on my phone. I could actually build it into my schedule if I wanted to. I could be more intentional with the time I'm spending on this thing instead of sitting in front of the computer all day watching the people on the forum filling out information. I can choose not to.
You just gave
Yeah.
3 different things
Yeah.
that might help you remember all of this more. In the event that you were to do just those 3 things alone, how much stress could you avoid if you just did those three things consistently?
I think as it directly relates to this event,
Mm-hmm.
probably a good portion of it. It's there's still the unknown that's there, and there's also still the self like the I'm not
But
worried about.
we'll come to the unknown and we'll come to the self-doubt. I just only
Yeah,
want to mention, I only want to focus for just this moment on
sure,
the idea that one needs to manage stress versus just eliminating it.
fair.
By the way, let me explain to you why. If you have a belief that you need to do a better job of managing stress becomes the objective goal of your subconscious mind. So therefore your subconscious mind, without even your conscious awareness, will look for things for you to manage.
Yeah.
AKA, your subconscious mind will find things for you to stress about, so therefore you can live in alignment with your desire to manage said stress.
Not even just my subconscious mind, my conscious mind. I'm literally looking for problems to
Your
solve.
subconscious mind is the one that's feeding it to the conscious mind.
Okay,
But
fair.
yes, absolutely, you're
Yeah,
getting where I'm going with this.
yeah,
So let's check in for just a second. You just named 3 things one could do. All right. Notice Cliff didn't say anything.
right.
These are 3 things you said you could do. You were at a 50-50. You moved up to 7 out of 10. Right in this very moment, on a scale of 1 to 10, the possibility that you could live your life as it relates to this event with no stress, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the possibility?
Right now, sitting here, I'd say there's still about a 70% or
It's still 7 out of 10.
70%. Yeah, I,
7 out of
I
10.
would experience no stress.
7 out of 10. Okay.
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
So
I'm almost there. I'm getting there though. We're
I
getting
know.
there.
Hey, we've moved from 5 to 7. I'm taking my wins over here. Hold on. We'll get there. Jordan. what if I told you that Jesus gives you the exact model for you to follow that would eliminate all of that stress? And as soon as I say it, you'll instantly know it. Some of the 3 items that you came clearly lean into the thing you already know at your soul level. But Jesus gave you the way to experience this with no stress. Come to me, all of you who are heavy burdened and weary and worn out and stressed. And he said, I will give you rest for your soul.
Right.
In essence, I will give you the peace that passes all understanding. Earlier, you mentioned the idea that on one hand, I have peace, and then other times I have uncertainty. And what I believe Christ has called us to is peace in the midst of both certainty and uncertainty.
Yeah.
And how do we do that? He says, come and be yoked with me.
Mm-hmm.
And yoke is that device that pulls 2 animals together, one such that the stronger animal carries the load, does all of the heavy lifting, that the other animal is almost just there for along for the ride. There is some co-laboring together, but it's the yoke is, he says, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Basically, do this with me and you will be stress-free.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I didn't put those words to it, but I have been more intentional with trying to do this from compared to last year specifically. I've been trying to do this with more of that mentality, how I'm interacting with people, how I'm trying to be more serving to people who want to attend. I'm trying to make it less about me, I guess is what I'm saying. So that alone has helped reduce some of this to none. I think where my mind keeps on getting pulled to is that that 30% that's lingering is that uncertainty and the self-doubt and
Okay, so
the
let's focus on this
yeah,
30%. Let's
yeah.
focus on this 30%, the gap between. How much, so I want you to imagine the 30% is everything. Okay, so the 30% is the 100% of what's actually causing you to experience the stress. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I want to know, what's the percentage of the stress that is self-doubt versus uncertainty?
You mind if I take a moment to just define out loud what I'm
Take as much
yeah,
time as you
so
want. I'm in no rush.
so the uncertainty is more around um the self-doubt is around, the first year I did this, I had people I was collaborating with. This year I'm doing it on my own. There's part of it there. There's also a little bit of the imposter syndrome, which everybody that I talk to would tell me it's ridiculous for me to even think that way, which I do understand that. There's also the self-doubt is the like the who am I to put this thing on keeps on creeping in. That's the imposter syndrome. But there's also the did I do everything right? Did I wait too long? Did I communicate poorly? Did I use the wrong piece of software, et cetera? All the did I, what it coulda, shoulda is. And then the uncertainty is the uncertainty is a very small part of it, if I'm being honest. I'd
I
say if
know
I
it
had to
is.
take that entire 100%,
Yep.
like the uncertainty is maybe 10% of that
Yep.
100%.
So
And it's
90% of your stress is not from uncertainty. It is from the
yeah.
self-doubt side of it.
Yeah, the uncertainty, like I'm not quite break even yet, but I know I will be, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried about that. I also know that everybody is going to like get more out of it than anticipated. I have all the confidence in the world about that. So I could even reduce that 10% down to like it's a very small
Yep.
percentage
It's
of
getting
my
smaller
stress.
as soon as you put your conscious
Yeah.
focus and attention on it. It's even it's like the uncertainty is dissipating. I can see it dissolving as you're focused on it.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you just got to say these things out loud and talk about it, especially with somebody who knows and who has language to put to it. So this is helpful. Um,
Okay, so you ready to work on the
yeah.
30%?
Yeah, I think so.
What if I told you the reason why you're experiencing self-doubt as it relates to, and all this stress is simply because Jesus says, I'd like to be yoked with you. I'd like to carry the heavy load of all of this. I'd like to shore up all of your shortcomings. And I'd like to do this with you, but yet you just told Cliff Ravenscraft and anybody else that might be listening that you're doing it all on your own this year. Where am I? Who am I? Chopped liver? That's what Jesus is saying.
Yeah. No. By the way, I shouldn't say I'm doing this all alone. I'm more
I
me.
know I know
I have a team of people. I have a team of people, but
what you're
just for clarity, in case anybody's watching this.
yeah, but okay, no, fair enough. I get that. But
Yeah.
what you meant is other influencers that bring the other people who might be interested in the marketing clout and the influence,
Right,
and
right.
I totally got what you said, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
given the fact that you have a team of people who are helping you, I definitely understand that clarification. But
Yeah.
still, in the language, there's the feeling that I'm doing this all by myself. I'm doing this
Right.
alone. And who am I? I don't know, Jordan. Who am I? It's just me, lowly old me doing this. Or who am I? It's me, one who is in union, one with God in Christ, who is empowering me to show up and serve in ways and have a heart of desire and excellence that has such a great heart and compassion for everyone there, that's going to make sure to do everything within my power. I feel Christ compelling me to over deliver and under promise to everyone, and that's my commitment. It is not I alone. I with Christ am doing this.
Mm.
If you had that as your identity, how much stress would you feel?
I have to connect that in my head to being real. I mean, right now I understand the words you're saying, and I understand that it is possible. There's a disconnect though
Mm-hmm.
in uh, application and knowledge and all the things. So that's where I'm at right now. That's what comes to mind as you talk through that.
Okay. I totally get that. Um
But I do keep on reminding myself that, I am going back to prayer and reading, and also talking with like one of the people on my team is a Christian as well. So I'm able to like speak the same language with them, and they're able to offer encouragement through that. So I do have that more than I did last time. I Even in life, I struggle with the how do you apply that? How do you connect that to where it clicks and makes sense and you can apply that to everyday life? That's something I've always struggled with because I do tend to just figure it out on my own, quote unquote.
yeah, and figure it out on my own seems to lead to a lot of stress
Yeah.
that one would then need to manage.
Yeah.
So come to me, all who are stressed about anything, Be in union with me. Let's do it together. Put this yoke on. I'm stronger by far. You might ask the question of, am I doing this all right? The answer to the question to that, Jordan, is no, you're not doing it all right. You are making mistakes that you're not even aware of yet. You made mistakes the last time, you'll make mistakes this time, and you are not going to be perfect when you have the next event and the event after that. Now, will you make less and less mistakes as you become consciously aware of some of the mistakes? Yes. Will you occasionally make the same mistake twice? Possibly, if not even probably. Could I, should I, would I have gotten different results? But the answer to all of those questions are, yeah, you could have done it earlier. Yeah, you should have, maybe could have, blah, 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 blah. All of that, the answers to all of those questions are, but you know what? Asking those questions will never change what currently exists as the reality of the number of people who are currently signed up and or the number of people who are going to sign up. You're stressing over any of the answers to any of those questions doesn't change the reality of the actual actions and efforts and steps that you have taken to create what currently is offered. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So you could either stress about all of the things, all the mistakes you've made, all the things that I'm not doing right, I coulda, shoulda, woulda, whatever, all that stuff. You could stress all about that, and it will not impact the event in any way, shape, or
Right.
form. Or you could simply become aware from time to time of mistakes you made and write it down. Maybe things that's like, you know what? Maybe if next year I should maybe start marketing 3 to 4 weeks earlier. You could just write that down.
Right.
You could become aware of all of these mistakes, all of these coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and you could simply write them all down and have zero stress about it, and it still will not impact this event. So whether you stress or don't stress, nothing changes with this event.
Right. And I can make any changes to respond to that stress, and it's gonna whatever's meant to be is going to be. It's gonna play out exactly how it's supposed to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what you are invited to is have Christ cover the heavy lifting, the heavy load. Now, what I heard is, I understand the concept. I just haven't had a lived, felt experience of how does this show up practically and in reality. And this is where I can have a conversation with you that might sound like a different language to some people, but there's a little bit of commingling from some of the other traditions out there. So you and I both know Jesus, and we also both know that his last name was not Christ.
Right.
And from your other studies before where you landed today in your faith journey, you probably heard the term Christ consciousness.
Yeah.
All right. And that Jesus was one with Christ consciousness.
Right.
And Christ consciousness, there's a way that I've come to experience, and I'm not suggesting that you have to adopt my beliefs, and I
understand.
Yeah. But where I've come through and what's worked for me to understand is that Christ consciousness is the intelligence that activates the energy, that the source of all energy that creates worlds. So in my understanding today, the Holy Spirit from the Christian tradition is the vibratory energy of God. It is the energy that causes all things to vibrate in different frequencies. It is the energy, and the intelligence of Christ is the intelligence of that vibratory energy. And so therefore the intelligence of Christ consciousness informs with its intelligence how things should materialize.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is why Jesus says, if you believe and do not doubt, if you had the faith of just a mustard seed, and if you were one with me, which, by the way, he prayed that we would be one with him as he is one with the Father. That was a prayer that he prayed in the garden. Which, by the way, do you think he would pray that we would be one with him if that were not possible?
Without getting into a
Okay.
theological debate, I know what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
So he prayed that we would be one with him. He was one with the Father. He said, I tell you the truth, that you will do far greater things than I do. And if you would believe and not doubt, you could ask for anything in my name, in the name of Christ consciousness, in alignment with me, in alignment with this intelligence that informs the vibratory energy of all that is, the energy that creates world. You could ask anything and it would be done for you. You could tell a mountain to throw itself in the sea, and you certainly could eliminate some stress here and there. And so in essence, what Jesus is saying is like, come and basically be in union with me. Now, you mentioned earlier that meditation and prayer is a part of your experience.
Mm-hmm.
Are you not experiencing the felt presence of Christ in you in those moments?
Yeah, in those moments. That's what I was saying earlier. It does linger in those moments until I move on to the next task. That's where I like as the day progresses, it starts to detach a bit from that.
So let me ask you this. What time let's just do a mental exercise with me for just a moment.
Yeah.
On average, what time do you wake up?
7:30.
7:30. So you get up 7:30, and when do you typically do your prayer and meditation?
Probably anywhere from right when I wake up to an hour later. I go on a 30-minute walk every morning, and I, that's my meditative walk.
Yep.
And then, and then I come back and I do an actual meditation, prayer, reading.
Yeah, and so
about an
you
hour.
feel the felt presence of Christ with you.
Yeah.
And then you say, thanks, buddy. I got it on my own. I've got a bunch of things I'm going to do today, all without you. Do you see?
Yeah. I didn't mean to laugh. So there's just, but yeah, that is exactly what I do without, I don't actually say thanks, buddy, but I might as well, because that's what it is. Yeah.
And there's no judgment. I didn't say it with any
Right.
judgment.
I know you didn't. I know you did. It was just funny to me.
And the thing is I've been guilty of this myself.
Yeah.
Except that what I'm getting at, and the reason why I share this is, Jordan, I could tell you all sorts of things about where I am right now that would be stressing people out to the point where they would be in the hospital debilitated. Things that I personally currently have in my life experience. I have zero stress.
Yeah.
And I've brought Christ with me into this live stream today. He's here now. He's been speaking to you through me in this conversation. And if you wanted to, so if you wake up at 7:30 and you usually become in union with Christ until about 9:30, and then you say, hey, thanks, I'm going to go do my thing that I have to do alone today. It basically, I'm taking the yoke off, and now I have to carry the heavy load all day by myself.
But to clarify, it's while I'm working. When I stop working, then I kind of get back into that mode.
Fair enough. So the invitation is simply this: could you bring a conscious awareness of the presence of Christ that you experience in meditation into the activity and action of your work. Is that possible?
It's possible. I will need to sit and think how. Because yeah, it's possible. I have to figure out how. Final answer.
So let me make sure I heard what you said. Yes, I
Yeah.
believe it's possible, and I need and I desire. I'm going to paraphrase. I desire
Yeah.
to figure out how. Is that what I hear?
If I'm being completely honest, as you said those words in that way, the word desire stood out to me, and I'm like, okay, is there a part of me that like somehow finds comfort in the chaos? Because maybe it's the letting go. It's the letting go of control of everything, I think, is maybe the root of it somehow. Not the root, but it's definitely underlying there. So when you say the desire to, I'm like, can I say yes to that? Because I don't know. Maybe there isn't a strong desire to, because it seems like a simple problem to solve. Why do I have so much resistance to solving it?
Yeah. When I read the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, there was a book in there. It says, if it were possible, would you be willing to feel good and have your life go well all of the time?
Yeah.
And I was ticked when I read that. For some reason, I had such a visceral negative reaction that I shut the book and didn't read it for a couple of days. Finally, I came back to it because it had been recommended to me way too many times from my mentors in life to ignore their suggestion. And so I went back to the book a couple days later. And I realized that I misunderstood what it said. It didn't say, are you willing to have your life go well and feel good all of the time? It said, if it were possible, would you be willing? So what I loved about the book is like, first of all, let's just forget for a second whether or not it's possible. But if it were possible to live your life without stress, I'm now going to bring in paraphrased language here. If it were possible, forget about if it is possible. If it were, would you be willing to live every moment of every day, every business decision, every personal relationship that you have, every aspect of your life? If it were possible, would you be willing to live stress-free? And the ironic question is, for me, when I read that book, the answer was no. It was
As
a
you were asking
mere.
it, yeah.
I was a mirror of what you are having as a conversation with me. I was having with myself, a different, a version of myself. It's like, no, I don't think that's possible. And besides, if I didn't have any stress, there's parts of my belief that says, you know what, I work good under pressure. And if I didn't have enough pressure, I probably wouldn't be motivated to take action. And I started to, this began deconstructing a lot of beliefs that I picked up from people that I just bought into. And then all of a sudden I began to sit in my time of meditation and prayer and reading through various different scriptures, including the Bible. And then I realized, wait, be anxious about nothing. Oh, wait a second. The Bible's actually telling me, Jesus is actually telling me that this is possible. And not only is it possible, it's recommended. He's also given me the method for me to experience it. And so eventually I got to the place, okay, I came to the realization for me personally, yes, if it were possible, and I'm not saying that it is, if it were possible, I would be willing. And that's where it started for me. And then once I said that, then all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a second. Maybe it is possible. Would it not be possible would Christ say, be anxious about nothing and be joyful always? And again, I say rejoice. In all things, give thanks and gratitude and appreciation. Would all of this be in here if it weren't possible? And then I'm like, okay, well, I think it is possible. And then all of a sudden, the next step for me was, if you are heavy burden, come to me. I will give you rest. Be in union with me. Let's do this together. Die to yourself, which, by the way, is die to all of your ego fears of how will I be perceived by others? Am I going to get this wrong? Is this going to make me look bad? Am I going to? So don't worry about don't worry about how you're clothed, how people will look at you, how people will perceive how you look. Don't worry about what you eat. Don't worry about your provision, all of this is taken care of. Be in union with. It's like, okay. And so eventually I came to the place where I'm like, okay, yes, I believe that it is possible. And not only am I willing to feel good and have my life go well all of the time, I'm committed to it. And what I can tell you, Jordan, for me, I'm in a place where financially things are in a weird place. A leaking roof that's been leaking for a year, and just still the unknown after a year, whether that's fixed. And this and that and this and that and this and that and all of these other things, health concerns over the last several years, so many things. And I have absolutely no stress at all. I have absolute pure peace, and I have lots of uncertainty in my life. And it is because I started meditating 3 minutes a day. And I started to bring that out to 10, 15 minutes a day of being there. And then I brought it out to this and brought it out to that. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do anything, but today for me, I am 1,273 consecutive days of meditation. And I will meditate in the morning. I will sometimes go out for a walk with the dog, and I'm in a meditative state, which simply means that I'm focused on the presence of God, the present moment. I'm not living in the past, worrying about what stupid thing I said on that live stream. I probably shouldn't have said that to Jordan. I could have handled that. Do you think I've made any mistakes during this conversation today? Absolutely, I have. I will make many mistakes in many conversations. There's probably all sorts of books that says that this is all the things Cliff should never do as a coach. These are the things you would never. But do you know what's pure? My intent, my desire to be of service. That's never in question. Have I made mistakes? Yes. Will I make mistakes? Yes. Is this about me? Absolutely not. And again, it goes back to something you said earlier. Listen, when I make it less about me and make it all about them, all of a sudden, that's when the stress disappears. And you and I, in our limited ego, human side of things, we are limited. We are imperfect. But with Christ, we can do all things. Not perfectly, but we can do all things. We'll make mistakes, but we can do all things.
Yeah, everything you just said, I tracked along with everything, all of it. And little windows were popping into like what visually that looks like throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
I won't go into like the list of them, but just I can relate to all that. Could I ask you a question because I think you can also relate to exactly where I'm at right now. You mentioned the big leap and the question you asked, would it be possible? If would you be willing? Once you admitted you had a problem, what was the next? I mean, meditation was in there, but like, what was the next step that you took, if you can think back to that? Once you had that aha moment realization, like that it is possible and you are willing, what would have been your next? Was it right into meditation for you?
I would say it was just trusting that if this is possible and this is what I'm being called to live, that I trust fully that I will be led and guided by the Spirit of God into all that is necessary for me to learn how to live in alignment with this truth. So what happened was, and this is why I brought back the semantics of the words earlier, I made a decision. I'm not going to manage stress. I'm going to eliminate it. I'm not going to manage worry, anxiety, fear, and self-doubt. I'm going to eliminate all of them. And one thing I know is that none of those things, anxiety, fear, and worry, and self-doubt, none of those things I've ever experienced in a time of meditation where I'm consciously aware of the presence of Christ within me. And then it dawned on me, what if I actually bring my conscious awareness of Christ within me outside of my scheduled meditation? What if I brought the conscious awareness of Christ within me in a live stream, in a conversation, talking to Jordan? What if I bring my conscious awareness of Christ within me in a conversation where my wife and I are having a debate on whether or not I said, yes, I would do fill in the blank, and I didn't do it? What if I was to bring my conscious awareness of my union with Christ in all aspects of my day? And when I do that, I recognize that, wow, if I stay in the present moment and I trust that, wow, I'm not called to be perfect. I'm called to be in union. I'm called to be in alignment, and just be aware and knowing that stress and worry and fear and self-doubt don't solve anything, but actually being aware of things that might be improved. One of the things that I've done like I said, I think this might be my 25th of these live streams. I have 15 conversations that I've had just like this with other people that are already published in the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. And one of the things that I did is I did 2 different podcast episodes where I did a higher self-reflection on those. It's like, is there anything I did or said that was wrong, that was not true, that was out of alignment with how I know I want to show up in the world? And the answer is yes. Cliff, you made some mistakes. But here's what was aligned. You showed up. You didn't wait till you were perfect. Jesus didn't wait till his disciples were perfect before he sent them out 2 by 2 to go heal the sick and demon oppressed and all this other stuff. So all this, I have 19 more, actually 20 more now, other conversations that I will go through and I will review and I will learn and I will grow, but I will not stress about any of the misaligned coulda, shoulda, woulda stuff. I'm not here. Not once will I wait to do a live stream until I feel like I've got it all figured out and I'm going to be the perfect coach, textbooked, like point to Cliff Ravenscraft. He did everything right, by the book coach. I am not going to wait till that day to start live streaming and showing up or being a coach and serving people. If I did, I'd never coach anyone. And I certainly am not going to stress about them.
And as you're saying those things like that I can resonate with that, because I also feel the same way, especially when I'm talking with other people. I don't stress about those things. I just show up how I am. I don't worry about the editing. There are a number of things that I do in my processes throughout the day, even the way I do my job. Other people perceive it as lazy. I don't. Like, to me, it's just the way I do things. And so my point is there's all these other things in my life that I'm perfectly comfortable just being present how I am, not putting on a show. But for some reason, there's these other, and I'm coming to some clarity on all this. So this is helpful. But there are these things that when I'm not, I can't find the words, but I know you know where I'm going. There is like a misalignment with how I'm doing these tasks as it relates to this event and other things in my life, and the things that should be stressful for other people that aren't. I don't know if anything I just said makes sense, but
the words don't matter. the energy of where you are right now makes perfect sense. And yes, I get it. Can I share with you what I heard and tell me if this sounds right?
Yeah, it'd be
What
helpful.
I hear is that it's very clear that there are many aspects of your life where your ego and your self-doubt and your worry and your desire for perfection, to be perceived well by others, and all this other stuff. And there are certain areas of your life where this is a total non-issue. Yet you are recognizing, wow, there seems to be a few hangups in either business in general or certain aspects of my business where I feel like I am solely responsible for success. And there's way too much at risk here. And if I don't succeed in some level, I'm going to let people down. And I'm really fearful of that. That's kind of what I'm picking up.
Yeah, there's definitely letting people down is a huge part of it. Like I want, and I'm trying to detach with it being about me. Like I don't want people to be disappointed in me either. But um, I'm not worried about like I don't want to generate a poor perception of me based on like anything that I do, of course. But like it's not. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. You said, that's a very conscious thing. I don't want to do anything that would generate a poor perception of me. And in some ways, I take that as I will consciously go out of my way to perform in such a way so that what I do doesn't cause people to have a poor perception of me.
Yeah. And as I was saying that, and as you were saying, sorry, go ahead.
And that can cause stress.
As I was saying those words, you saw me probably look off to the side. I was having a realization. I'm doing, yes, I'm a people pleaser, and when I do that, that is where, like I don't know, that's where I think stress to come from, because those activities that I'm doing are trying to anticipate what others are going to think or want or do or say.
And do
And
you
I'm
know
proactively.
do you know how much control you have over any of that on a scale of 0% to 100%? Guess how much control you have?
0.
Yeah. And so do you imagine if you take any of your time, effort, and energy, your strength, and you apply any of that to the management of perception of others, that you are facing a resistance that you just have no control over any of that.
Right.
And you mentioned we can bring uncertainty back in. Well, gosh, I'm uncertain of how this will be perceived by others.
Yeah, I have that one negative comment problem.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that one.
Yeah, and that's what I've been trying to avoid. Like, and you're right. Like,
Jesus
there's
had that
literally
problem,
nothing
right?
I can. Oh yeah, there's literally nothing I can do to prevent that.
No.
And all the things that I would try to do to prevent that will generate another negative comment problem. So yeah, there's not. I can safely say there's nothing that I can do that would control any of that. That is 100% out of my control, and I need to come to terms with that and come to peace with that.
Yeah, and one thing that you could do with the one negative comment? Actually, let me give you two different options. One is you could receive the negative comment, focus on it, ruminate on it, get triggered by it, get a little bit reactionary about it, let it send cortisol and stress throughout your body, and let it impact and influence all the other things you do, which cause you to want to tiptoe around everything else, all your other decisions, so that you don't make that mistake again, so that you can keep other people from perceiving the same thing that this person perceived, and avoid the next and all of a sudden now you're tiptoeing and you're walking on eggshells through life, and that can be kind of stressful. Let me share with you. I've got some negative comments.
I know.
And I used to have the negative comment problem as well.
Yeah.
But when I actually learned that I could bring my conscious awareness of Christ within me outside of my meditation scheduled activity, but I could also bring my conscious awareness of Christ within me at the moment I'm reading the negative comment. And we can laugh out loud together about it. Yeah, Cliff, you did kind of screw that up. What were you thinking? Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that one. And sometimes Jordan, for me, one of the things that I learned about those negative comments, the only reason why
Some truth to them.
There's a bit of truth to them. And it's truth that you haven't faced yet.
Yeah.
And really, it's not their judgment that hurts. It's your own self-judgment.
Yeah.
You haven't learned to forgive yourself for that imperfect part of you yet. And that's what the conscious presence of Christ is there to help you do. I remember your sins no more. Your imperfection are as far as the east is from the west. I do not see them.
Yeah, and it goes beyond this event, obviously. I think, it's with all of life. And that's, it's sometimes I even ask myself if the event is even coming from like trying to answer that one negative thing that's lingering in the past that's like deep in my subconscious somewhere,
That's
like
how
what's the purpose of even,
you and I have both been a student of what's known as the spiritual journey.
Yeah.
And one thing I think we both have probably come to understand, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that life is about giving us the opportunity through any number of situations, circumstances, or relationships for us to learn the next thing we need to learn to be more in alignment with Christ within.
Yeah. I think the sentiment we agree on, yeah. The words I'd probably change a little bit, but I think we're saying the same thing. Yeah.
And so the event is nothing more than an excuse for God to have you learn this lesson. And what I've seen in all of my coaching of so many clients over the years is you could learn to eliminate the stress with this event, or get this event, watch it go perfectly, and then watch something else come up in your business and or some area of your life that will cause you to need to manage more stress. The thing is situation and circumstance or relationship will come over and over and cycle and cycle. Sometimes it'll be the same thing over and over again with the same person, or sometimes it'll just be the same thing with a different person or a different circumstance. But until you finally figure out the lesson of stress-free living, be anxious about nothing, will still be confronted with you, or you'll be confronted with the opportunity to learn the lesson. Let me ask you real quickly, right here, right now, in this very moment, forget about how much you desire to experience it. On a scale of 1 to 10, do you think it's possible to live stress-free?
I think that today it is possible.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
10, it's possible.
So yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and then tomorrow I will maybe struggle a little bit, but I can listen back to this and have that reminder. I can pray about it and have that reminder. So yes, I do think it's possible.
Yeah. So
it takes time, obviously. I don't think it's going to be an overnight change, but yeah, I think it's possible.
That's exactly it. It is not an overnight. It can be, by the way, it can be an overnight change.
Yeah, of
My
course.
my understanding in working with lots of people, it's not an overnight thing for most people. I have witnessed some overnight stuff, but those people are usually dealing with, like, I've just been told I've got 6 weeks to live kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're a little bit more on an advanced timetable, if you will.
Yeah.
But I've seen people facing the most craziest stuff. One of the conversations that's not been published yet in the Cliff Ravenscraft show is one of my clients I've worked with for well over a decade now. She has 3 children. She's a single mom, owns a business. She's responsible for everything financially in her world. Very public figure, has massive audience. Just became pregnant. She did in vitro fertilization for a 4th child, pregnant, and developed a very advanced stomach cancer.
Mhm.
She is not stressed.
It's interesting the things we choose to be stressed about.
Yeah. Wow, that's an incredible statement. It's interesting to, because the way that I would perceive that, it's not so much that it's interesting the things that we choose to be stressed about. It's interesting the things that we choose not to bring Christ's conscious presence and awareness and the peace that surpasses all understanding. It's interesting situations and circumstances that we don't invite that into.
Yeah. That's a more thoughtful and better aligned way to word it.
Yeah, because I don't think you wake up any day consciously or
What am I going to
unconsciously.
be stressed out today?
I need to choose some things to be stressed about today. Now,
Right.
you are giving your subconscious mind some programming, saying, "Hey, I need to manage stress." Well, it's like, well, I can't manage stress unless we have some stress, so let me go get some stress for you. There's a little bit
Yeah.
of that, but it's not a conscious choosing. Well, okay, this is the thing I'm going to do. But yeah, this is a fun conversation. I can sense that you have one of the things that seems to me that you went from, it's 50-50. Cliff, 5 out of 10 that it's possible to live stress-free. And then we moved to 7, and you were staying there at 7 for a while. And then I think what I witnessed, Jordan, is when you realize, it's like, wait a second, it's not so much that I don't believe that it's possible. I just don't know that I desire it. Ooh, and then all of a sudden it's like, now there's something for me to dig in. If it is possible, why don't I desire it? What part of me wants to hold on to stress? And all of this is just an invitation into greater self-discovery of what's going on inside of there. And that's what I'm witnessing. And I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I think I agree with you, especially when you put that word desire in there, is when it all kind of pivoted for me. Because I realized at that moment that it's like, okay, it is about desire. Like I know it's possible. I've read the book, I've said the prayers, I felt it. So I'm making a conscious or unconscious decision to ignore it. And obviously there's many deeper levels to go on this, but I don't want to hog up the room. But I think that it's definitely helped bring me clarity on this. And I'll definitely share updates with you message wise. Just I mean, you probably will already know, but I don't know. I think this has been very helpful.
I
I
love
want
it.
to ramble.
Jordan, I can tell you right now, I absolutely love the relationship that you and I have formed over all of these years. We've had some of the most incredible dialogues. I love the fact that you were such a huge part of what was going on back in the Clubhouse days. And of course, I'm sure you've heard that it was the Clubhouse stuff that inspired, what I'm creating in this particular format. And so to actually have you come and bring this level of depth of conversation is a dream come true for me. So thank you.
I freed the dream for you.
You freed the dream of the live stream. You freed the dream of the live stream.
We freed the stream.
I appreciate you so much, my friend. You are invited back here anytime. And of course, you're invited, as you know, always to just reach out to me personally in any form. So
But let me add one small anecdote. You doing these has also inspired me to do one of these as well with like my community.
yeah.
So I just wanted to encourage you there. I think what you're doing is, I mean, it's aligned for you, but I think it is with the general, I don't know, for me at least, it feels like this is the way things are going, like just authentic communication with people for everybody to hear, not like behind a gateway. Again, I know there's private conversations that need to happen and
Yep.
you know, paid clients, but I'm just saying, I think it's the right move. I'm just giving you some outside assurance. Not that you need it, but when I hear you talking about it and your path right now and where you're at, I resonate with it 100%.
I appreciate that. I really
I'll
do.
give you some encouragement.
And if you are thinking about doing this, just make sure that you go and work on that self-doubt thing, because you know, there have been multiple times I've shown up here and actually there's only been one time I went an entire 90-minute session, not one.
Yeah, I was here. I was sitting in this chair listening to it.
Yeah.
Thinking, wondering if I wanted to come up or not, and I didn't.
I'm glad you didn't. I really am.
Yeah. And I won't open up another conversation, but I just want to. That isn't a place of self-doubt for me. Like I don't care. I'm like you. I don't care if I don't know if nobody shows up. Great. I had one person show up to mine that I did, and I'll do it again in the future as well, I'm sure. But anyway, I just wanted to encourage you there.
I appreciate it, John.
I'll hop off so anybody else can hop on if there's more time. And it's good to talk to you and see you.
Jordan, thank you so much, man. Thank you. I appreciate you, and come back anytime. All right.
May see ya.
All right, guys, thank you so much. That's going to wrap it up for this live stream. I am going to go upstairs, and I think my wife might have some early dinner for me, and I've got to call it 3:30 this afternoon. So many blessings to you. cliffravenscraft.com/join. If you go there, matter of fact, let me just do this before I close the live stream down. I am going to go in and take off the live link. So I'll just hit save there. We will take off Tuesday, the 19th. So I will hit save there. So that's now gone. Let's go in here and now put Tuesday. Just need to find the date. Tuesday. Next week is the 26th. Tuesday, the 26th. August 26th. And that one should also be 1 to 2. Yep. All right. So, okay. Now let me just go over here to cliffravenscraft.com/join. And it got rid of the live button. And it says our next one here is Wednesday, August 20th is correct. And it goes all the way through the 26th. All right. It's all there. cliffravenscraft.com/join. Come join me anytime. And many blessings. Bye.